Welcome back. I'm your host, Leslie Cottle, and you are listening to This Empowered Life podcast, the podcast delivering tools, knowledge, and wisdom to empower the soul. Today's episode is called How to Let Go of the Old You. If you're in the process of shedding old patterns and beliefs of a past version of yourself and want real, long-lasting tools to help the process be a little more graceful, keep on listening for 3 truths to help you while you're in your transformation. Coming home to your truth is a lifelong journey. This past week for me has had a big theme of coming into full acceptance of a new version of myself. And every time this happens, when I'm on the other side, I feel really aligned, really authentic. And it feels really good. But the path to owning a new version of yourself is not always what we picture it's going to be. And that's because there's a huge shedding process that happens before you can fully step into the version of yourself or of your new truth of who you are. So today I wanted to talk about 3 truths for when you're shedding an old version of yourself and accepting a new version of yourself, because it can feel a little bit messy. But I promise you, if it feels messy, that means you're in it, and it's a good thing. So the first truth is to let go of labels. Now, in this chaos, you are simultaneously unraveling beliefs and constructs of reality, the old you, and you are also accepting new beliefs and new constructs of reality, the new you, exactly at the same time. And that is why it feels crazy, which is why we have to let go of all of the labels to begin with. Because your reality is dictated by what you choose to identify with. And if you are identifying with a label that isn't fitting into one of your realities, it's going to feel really uneasy. And this is a time when your worlds are colliding, when everything is contradicting itself. So the more you can let go of using a label, whether it's about you, an experience, a situation, the less you do it, the more freedom you're actually going to have in your experience, because you're going to be able to be more present, even if it does contradict itself. And that's also going to allow you to be able to see more clearly what this new version of you requires and what the old version of you can lay to rest. Which also brings us to truth number 2, which is keep your integrity. Now, sometimes we shut ourselves off from the truth because we don't want to ruffle feathers, or maybe we don't want to seem weird or different. And the consequence is that we end up bending the integrity of who we are to please other people. And these moments come up all the time. So weekly, if not daily, where you might brush off a comment that someone says, you might not follow a healthy eating plan that you've committed to, or some other commitment that you've committed to. You might find yourself agreeing with your boss or your lover when you actually have a really strong reason or feeling to believe something else. And all of these tiny little moments where you're bending your integrity, they all add up. They all add up so much that you can actually completely lose sight of who it is that you are. And of course, there are other reasons behind why we aren't in integrity with ourselves. But I want to talk about how most of the time, what's the reason we're not in integrity with ourselves is because it feels scary or uncomfortable. It feels scary or uncomfortable to speak up or to act out. But I want you to remember in those moments why it is so important to be in integrity with yourself. And that's because the consequence is that you're slowly giving yourself away. You're slowly giving your power away every time that you bend. So looking at the bigger picture of all of these little moments, either staying in integrity or bending the truth, what happens? What happens in your life when you do that? And you can ask yourself, is it easier to be uncomfortable? Or is it easier to be uncomfortable and get it over with? Or is it easier to completely lose yourself and have to find your way back? And from personal experience, I can 100% tell you it is way easier to get uncomfortable in the moment than to have to come back to yourself after a long journey of not being yourself. So I would encourage you to stay in integrity with yourself to what calls you, and that will keep you more aligned and more clear to who it is that you are and the messages you are here to help the world see. And the third and last truth I want to talk about today is to embrace change. So over your lifetime, you will shed many, many versions of yourself. And I want to remind you that all students are reminded this throughout their practice, and all masters preach this, and that is that change is the only constant. So while you might be shedding an old version of yourself or an old pattern, what's becoming new and familiar right now and is going to become cozy and comfy is likely going to be something that in the future you will shed when the time comes when it doesn't work for you anymore. So embrace the change as it comes. Be really kind to yourself in the process. And remember that you don't know what you don't know until you know. You know? They say that life is a beautiful mess, and I couldn't agree more. I send you so much love. Have a wonderful day. Tune in Tuesdays for more yummy and soulful episodes. If you love what you're hearing and want to support the podcast, please follow and rate the podcast on Spotify and Apple to help new listeners find us. To find out more about my coaching and healing practice, head over to my website, www.lesliecottle.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.